Well, today we are joined by someone who knows a lot about turning around a season for the better of the organization, the one and only Nats GM Mike Rizzo. Mike, thank you for joining us today, sir. Excited to have you. Love the apparel. See that you put that together quite nicely, sir. But let's get down into it. Let's talk some numbers real quick. The Wizards at one point in this season had 0.6 chance to make the playoffs this year. And, back in the season that you guys won the World Series, started off around 19-31. You win a wild card game to get into the whole postseason. Wizards did the same thing by winning the play-in this year. What's the mentality for success in the postseason?
Well, I think we kept telling the guys, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And no one remembers the beginning of the season. They remember the end of the season. And you've got to play. I remember when we were 19-31, we were playing playoff games in June, and they felt like playoff games. Every game was important. It was a vital game for us. The Wizards, watching them throughout the season, they were the same way. You could tell their intensity was up. These were must wins in the middle of the season, and sometimes when you get in that mindset, when every game is so important, so vital, and you do get to that finish line and you make the playoffs, you're held to play when you get to the playoffs, because you're going in. You know how it is to scrap for every loose ball, for every inch, for every bucket, and to play that defense. And we felt the same way. It was we were playing playoff baseball for 3 months before the playoffs started, and that aided us going through and starting off quickly into playoffs, because you can't get settled in the playoffs. You got to hit the gas from the start and get rolling.
Mike, I know from a general manager's perspective, drafting a player, developing a player, and the ability to retain a player is what you want, right? You want the homegrown talent. Bradley Beal is in his 9th year, and the Wizards have done a tremendous job of developing and retaining him, right? But the drafting part is he's 3rd overall, a lot of expectations. When you look at how he has developed as a player through those 9 years from the lens of a general manager, is that like the perfect way you want to get a player when they're that young?
Yeah, I mean, that's what franchise success is all about, and that's how you get to have long-term success with the organization. Is you draft them, you develop them, they get to know the Wizards way in this particular case, and when you draft a player like Bradley Beal, who came out of college and was an offensive stalwart, just as in his first game as a player, to watch his development as it being an all-around all-star elite player has been remarkable. The way this guy gets after it, distributing the basketball and playing defense, the way he's gotten better each and every year, taking more of an onus of leadership, which is palatable. That's something that's hard to do, and it's a skill set, and not every star player has that capability. He does. He's taken it to another level, and as he goes offensively, the Wizards go. And then when you pair him up with another stud player, it's often a recipe for good things to happen. You can see how that thing grew throughout the season. Watching them early in the season with Russ and Beal together, they were feeling themselves out. They had to get to know each other, and you see them now. They're pretty much a well-oiled machine. And like I said, they're a team that going into playoffs, I would believe as a GM looking from afar, nobody wanted to play them getting early in these early rounds of the playoffs, because they knew what they were up against. And I think that this series is a long way from over, and it would not surprise me a bit if the Wizards come out of this victorious.
It's funny that you say that, Mike. Let's talk about competitors. You get to see Max Scherzer firsthand. We get to see Russell Westbrook on a night in, night out basis. What impact does that have on your team when you have a marquee player putting forth that kind of intensity when they're out there?
Well, we have leaders that lead in different ways. We have a Ryan Zimmerman who's a quiet leader, and Max is more of a vocal in your face kind of a leader. It all comes down to it's don't do what I say, do what I do. Follow me, and the way Russ gets after it on the floor, you can see he leaves nothing on the floor. All he cares about is winning. His stats are secondary, and just the final score is what satisfies him. And I think you can see that about Max too. if Max could throw a gem of a game, if we lose, he's not satisfied and not happy, and he could scuffle during the game. And if we come out victorious in that game, he's happier than any other player in the clubhouse. So, you lead by example, and that's some of those are vocal and some of them are quiet. But when you have those type of leaders like a Beal and a Westbrook, a Zimmerman and a Scherzer, that kind of fulfills all the requirements of being a leader and creating a culture and a chemistry in a clubhouse that just kind of uplifts all the rest of the players and makes them better players because they know if the best player in the team is diving for loose balls, I better dive for a loose ball. And at the end of the game, you're going to be judged by one thing and one thing only, and that's the final score. And I always say when we win, we all eat better. And that's kind of the motto that we have here with the Nationals.
All right, Mike, you've seen a lot of playoff games in this town. I have to ask you, which one was your favorite from a Wizards perspective? Was it Paul Pierce hitting that shot against the Raptors, or was it Wall's game-saving, series-saving Game 6 against the Boston on that team Jason Smith played on?
Right. Yeah. I'd have to go with the John Wall shot. I was actually at that game. We had a day off. I was at that game, and the crowd was just crazy that night. That was as loud as I've ever heard it in that arena. When you're star, I always say to win those type of games, your stars have to be stars. And that night, the Wizards stars were stars, and it was an amazing finish. And just a little footnote to that: the day after, we had a walk-off homer against the Philadelphia Phillies. So it was a good couple days for me.
Mike, I have to tell you something real quick about that shot. So I'm sitting on the baseline, guys, and I'm waiting to interview. Hopefully, Wizards win. I'll interview a player on the floor. And John hits that shot. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys in a sporting event or watching like your favorite team. I was like Jim Valvano in '83 when he was running around trying to find somebody to hug. I literally was like going, is there anybody I could grab right now? The fans were just going crazy. It was one of those moments, and Mike, you were right. Like the crowd was so loud in there. It's probably the loudest that arena's ever been, in my opinion, in 14 years being here. But it was one of those moments where you're like, I'll always remember the night John hit that shot against the Seas.
Absolutely.
No question. It was a crazy night. It was a terrific game too, obviously, and it was a crazy night. And to put your exclamation point, your stamp on that game, it was big time. A big time shot from a big time player.
You know what, Mike? Let's have some fun with this one, all right? So we know that the Wizards are playing the Sixers, and you know that the NL East can be extremely competitive, and there's a lot of connective tissue between DC and Philadelphia. So I want to know, is there anything better than beating Philadelphia in any sport?
It's a great rivalry. They're just up the road. It's the one ballpark that we take a bus to because it's quicker to bus it than it is to fly or take a train. So that's all the close proximity we are. We love the challenge of the Phillies, especially in our early days when we were just beginning as the Washington Nationals, and they were the big bad Phillies that would come in and run roughshod over us. The tables have turned pretty good in the last 10 or so years, and we love beating the Phillies in Philly and here at Nats Park, and I'm sure it's no different with the Wiz and the Sixers. So you can't beat beating up on a Philadelphia-based team.
All right, Mike. I got a scouting question for you. So we've asked different people from the Washington football team this question. Now we're going to switch it up for the baseball side. If you could put any player on the Wizards team in a baseball uniform and a Nats uniform, what position would they play in your eyes?
They just can't throw out the opening pitch.
Yeah, no, we ain't doing that. We've already been down that road.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have to say the athleticism and the stride length and the way that Beal moves around. I'd feel pretty good about throwing him out in center field and run some balls down. I think that would be something that he was capable of doing. And I'd probably put Russell at shortstop so he could be the conductor and the leader of that infield.
At that. We got him on football field and we got him on the baseball field. I think some magic in the air about these DC teams we got going on here. Nationals GM Mike Rizzo, we appreciate you spending some time with us, brother. Thank you so much and continue to have a great season.
My pleasure. Good luck to the Wiz. Beat them.